Okay, let's dive right into this explainer. Today, we're looking at a fascinating, modern reimagining of Albert Camus' classic novel, The Plague. But we're swapping out the historic town facing a deadly contagion for an aging New York City apartment building. This story is called The Building That Stopped Seeing, and it takes us straight inside the Calder Building, this 12-story, rent-stabilized slice of Upper Manhattan. And let me tell you, the residents here are about to face a very, very different kind of outbreak. Now, you might remember that Camus started his original novel not with some huge dramatic death, but with just a single dead rat. And most people, they just totally dismissed it. Well, in the Calder Building, dead rats are treated as, just a standard sanitation issue. But this brings up a really profound question. What if those rats aren't actually a disease vector at all? What if they're a symptom of a much deeper societal illness? Basically, a giant red flag that people have simply stopped paying attention to the decay right in front of them.
So, that brings us to Section 1, the modern plague, habitual indifference. Before we go any further, I absolutely have to mention that this whole concept is explored so brilliantly in the source material. For the full story, and you really should check it out, visit https://imaginarytalks.com/the building that stopped seeing modern Camus story. It is a fantastic creative exploration of these ideas, and honestly, it's just well worth your time to read the whole thing.
Okay, moving right along to Section 2. Symptoms of indifference, a pattern of neglect.
Let's consider Elias, the building's super. His logbook is literally a visual timeline of habitual neglect. I mean, think about this timeline. In November, there's a voltage fluctuation. January, water intrusion. By March, they just do a temporary repair. And finally, by September, he's recommending an immediate shutdown. For 19 years, Elias has been writing these reports only to watch serious warnings turn into just routine paperwork. A genuine warning literally became just a piece of paper, and responsibility turned into mere documentation. The management board just kept kicking the can down the road, hoping these temporary patches would somehow carry them through to the next budget year.
And this physical decay, it perfectly mirrors the social isolation of the tenants themselves. On the one hand, you have ignored leaks, like there's a cracked cabinet in apartment 3C that's actually letting rats in, and heavily corroded electrical panels. But on the other hand, we have this profound human neglect. You've got people living on the exact same floor, hearing each other through the thin walls every single day, but they completely forget each other's names. They literally step right over uncollected newspapers on the hallway because, well, they figure it's, quote-unquote, someone else's department. Which brings us to a retired physician in the building, Dr. Mara Levin. She hits on this incredibly chilling truth. People rarely ignore danger because they fail to see it. Actually, they ignore danger because they keep seeing it without any immediate consequences. Think about it. If you see water dripping into a paint bucket in the electrical room every single day, and the building doesn't burn down, you kind of just start accepting the bucket as part of the architecture, right? You don't fail to see the danger. You just get so entirely used to it that you completely stop reacting. So inevitably, we hit Section 3. The system collapses, the breaking point. We see this collapse happen first on a purely human level. Step 1. An elderly tenant, Samuel Price, collapses alone in his apartment. Step 2. His uncollected newspapers just pile up outside his door for days. Neighbors are actually stepping around them. Some even watch a rat run right over the pile. But everyone just assumes management or, a relative is handling it. Step 3. It takes Noah, a 17-year-old grocery delivery boy who doesn't even live in the building, to finally pay attention, knock on the door, and raise the alarm. Samuel almost died simply because everyone assumed someone else was looking out for him. That's just wild. And then, the physical collapse hits. Water from a split pipe finally reaches the main electrical conduit. Boom. The entire building is plunged into freezing darkness, and the lower floors are flooded with rats for a terrifying 36 hours. No heat, no elevators, the emergency lights fail in 90 seconds flat. Guys, this isn't just a flicker, the entire system is completely 100% gone. Suddenly, the darkness joined them inside their private rectangles of light. The isolated residents are basically forced out into the hallways. They realize that the protective walls they've been hiding behind are failing every single one of them at exactly the same time. Those private, isolated rectangles of light they've lived in for years, gone. The freezing cold and the pitch black actually forced them to open their doors. And, for the first time, truly look at the people they've been completely ignoring. That takes us right into Section 4. Ordinary acts of decency, the community responds. Now, you might expect total panic, right? But instead of chaos, the building organizes itself organically through these small, specific actions. They basically replace corporate assumptions with actual, genuine human care. You've got a college student writing people's names and medical needs on flattened cardboard boxes. Neighbors are running safe generator cables from the street just to power a mother's oxygen machine. A Dominican family cooks up this massive pot of soup to share with everyone in the lobby. And Noah, along with a few others, they're hiking up and down these freezing, pitch-black stairwells, knocking on every single door to check on the elderly neighbors. There are no grand heroics here, just ordinary people stepping up and doing exactly what is needed in that exact moment.
And because of this, we see a massive shift in Jonah Vail, the co-op board president. See, for years, Jonah kept postponing these expensive repairs just to protect the building's financial reserves and, the precious property values. But standing there in the freezing lobby, looking at his neighbors sharing soup and pooling their medical supplies, it finally hits him. He realizes that by obsessing over protecting property values, he was completely neglecting the building's true value, the actual people living inside it.
Which brings us to our final section, Section 5, The Cure is Attention, Life After the Dark.
As it turns out, real recovery requires structural accountability. The board actually steps up and implements concrete, systemic changes. Before the blackout, maintenance was just ignored or delayed. But after, it's tracked with highly visible deadlines and assigned to named staff members. Neighbors went from being total strangers to actively participating in voluntary wellness check-ins. And instead of just passing the blame around like they used to, they instituted monthly community dinners. They made a real, tangible commitment to actually knowing who lives next door.
So, at the end of the day, the crucial takeaway here boils down to this incredible philosophical concept from Albert Camus: ordinary decency. Camus believed that evil and disaster, they rarely announce themselves with a megaphone. They become ordinary first. And the way you fight back against that, it isn't with grand sweeping speeches or these perfect bureaucratic systems. No, the building is saved by the quiet heroism of a 17-year-old who just remembers to knock on a neighbor's door. It's saved by a super who absolutely refuses to stop doing his job properly, even when everyone ignores him. It's all about those consistent, everyday acts of compassion. I want to leave you with this final, really provocative question to think about the next time you walk past a problem in your own community. Look, the Calder Building wasn't permanently cured. Pipes are definitely going to leak again, and people will inevitably get busy and distracted again. The plague of indifference? It never fully disappears. But here's the thing, neither does our capacity for compassion. Both of these forces are waiting right there inside every single community. The real question is, which one will you allow to spread today?